Goeienaand. Good evening, fellow South Africans. And some of this news is quite old. It's about 2 weeks old, but some of it is quite new. So I'm going to just lump them together because I hadn't realized that AfriForum's court challenge about the expropriation of land without compensation has been rejected by the court. And I'm looking at an article here from Business Day, which is dated, let me have a look, dated the 30th of November. So this happened just under 2 weeks ago. And basically it says the Cape Town High Court on Friday dismissed lobby group AfriForum's urgent application to interdict the parliamentary process on the possible amendment to the Constitution to allow for land expropriation without compensation. AfriForum had launched an urgent application to stop a report by the Joint Constitutional Review Committee from being passed on to the National Assembly as an interim measure pending its main court action. MPs are due to debate the report on Tuesday before it is forwarded to the National Council of Provinces for concurrence. Now, what is still in play is the DA have also lodged a legal challenge about the process, about how that parliamentary committee actually came to the decision, because they say that it was just totally fudged, and it was totally fudged. But what is really interesting in this new, well, the latest news that we've got on the subject is the ramifications are now starting to come home to roost, rather like Mr. Achilles of the BLF and his stupid comments. I mean, the ramifications of expropriating land without compensation are huge. It takes away the whole basis of the banking system, which is, I think I've explained to you that fiat money has nothing tangible backing it. It doesn't have gold backing it. It doesn't have silver backing it. Fiat money is actually nothing more than someone else's promise to pay back the loan based on an asset which is held by the bank. And that asset is used when the bank creates that money out of thin air. So the whole financial system is based on having a tangible asset, not gold or silver in the bank anymore. It's the person who borrows the money who's got that tangible asset that is then given a loan to buy a house or whatever. So that's why the house is always put as a security against a loan. Now, when you nationalize everything, guess what you do? You take away the ownership of that piece of land because it now belongs to the government. What bank is going to loan money to somebody who's got no assets? Because even if they've got a 50,000 acre farm that is owned by the government, they're basically just squatters on there. They don't own that property. And the bank is not going to lend them diddly squat. So the whole basis of the financial system has been totally destroyed. And these goons in the EFF and the ANC are too friggin' stupid to understand that. Anyway, bit of a rant. But what has also happened as a result of the Parliament's decision to expropriate land without compensation is that the agribusiness confidence index dropped 6 points to 42 in the fourth quarter of this year, the lowest level since the fourth quarter of 2009. A score below the neutral 50-point marks indicate agribusiness are gloomy about business conditions. And why wouldn't they be? Because there's so much uncertainty now. I can tell you now that I'm getting a lot of emails from people who are just wanting to get out of South Africa. And where I can, I put them in touch with various people that I've now got as connections. But with what's going on in parties like the BLF and the EFF, and what's happening in places like Hermanus, where the BLF are just claiming areas, and it's not good. And the problem is that these guys seem to be Teflon proof. You know, they can steal, they can murder, they can do whatever they like. And I'm talking about the politicians, the black politicians, and they get away with it. Nothing ever seems to progress to the legal system for them to be charged and put inside. It's a very, very unbalanced judicial system in South Africa. There are two sets of rules: one for the average Joe, and basically protection from the legal system by the well-connected and the politicians. South Africa has just gone down the drain. All right, guys, that's my rant. Please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. I'm going to play a short video now, which will be showing you how fiat money actually works, so you can get your head around why this expropriating land without compensation is just going to destroy the banking system. Alrighty, take care and have a good evening. Bye for now.
Since 1971, when President Nixon took the United States off what was left of the gold standard, the world has operated under a system of money called fiat. The dollar, the pound, the euro are all government fiat currencies. Fiat is a Latin word meaning let it be so. It is the law that this government currency be money. Indeed, without that legal enforcement, and the fact that we must pay taxes in this money, that dollar bill or that computer digit that represents a dollar would be pretty much meaningless. Only the government has the power to issue fiat money, but banks can create it through lending. If somebody wants to borrow $10, a bank can create it from nowhere and lend it. It can then charge interest. Banks also create money by lending against an asset, such as a house. They're given the deeds to the house, and they create the money out of nowhere and lend it, at interest, of course. Over the last 40 years, since this fiat system of money became the global norm, the supply of money has grown exponentially. In fact, we've seen the greatest growth in the supply of money in history. But who benefits? Of course, those that have the power to issue money, governments and banks. They haven't had to do anything productive, they just create money. Then those companies and individuals that get this money early. They can spend it before the prices of the things they want to buy have risen to reflect the new money in circulation. In other words, they get services, products, assets cheap. But prices soon rise, so holders of assets such as shares or houses will then see gains without there necessarily being any improvements to the company or house in question. Often, this can lead to speculative bubbles. Who gets this money early? However money is created, be it through lending, fractional reserve banking, financial bailouts, or old-fashioned money printing, banks are always at or near the top of the money-issuing pyramid. Next come corporations who borrow large sums, those on lucrative government contracts for new ventures, particularly overseas, banks' associate companies and partners, those that borrow early and at low rates, and the bank's senior employees. They all quickly get their share of the pie. In some cases, this will come in the form of bonuses. But what about those at the bottom of the pyramid? Those on fixed wages or incomes, those who live in remote areas, or those with savings? By the time this newly created money has filtered down to them, the prices of the things they want to buy have increased. Their savings buy them less, however, and their wages remain largely unchanged. In some cases, they have to take on debt just to be able to afford the things they were previously able to buy, which means they have to go back to the banks. In reality, this process of creating money only redistributes wealth from the bottom to the top of the pyramid. and thus that ever-increasing gulf between rich and poor gets bigger and bigger and bigger.